Chosen one, something has shifted within you, and you've felt it in ways you cannot fully explain. It's in the silence between your thoughts, in the weight behind your gaze, in the moments where the world feels both clearer and more distant at the same time. Your eyes have changed, not just in what they see, but in how they perceive truth. You are no longer asleep to the patterns, the illusions, the subtle currents guiding everything around you. And yet, even now, standing at this threshold, you are not fully ready for what is about to unfold. Because awakening is not a single moment, it is a process that dismantles you piece by piece. You thought clarity would bring peace, but instead it has brought intensity. You notice what others ignore. You feel what others suppress. Conversations that once satisfied you now feel hollow, almost rehearsed, as if everyone is reading from a script you can no longer follow. And that distance you feel, it's not loneliness in the way you once understood it. It's separation from illusions you can no longer return to. Your eyes changed because you were meant to see beyond the surface. But seeing comes with a cost. You can no longer pretend. You can no longer shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were built for a version of you that no longer exists. And this is where the real challenge begins, because awareness is only the first step. What comes next demands transformation, and transformation is not gentle. There will be moments when you wish you could go back, not because you were happier, but because you were comfortable. Ignorance has a softness to it, a protective layer that keeps reality from cutting too deep. But now, everything feels sharper, emotions hit harder, truth lands heavier, and you begin to realize that being chosen was never about ease. It was about responsibility. You may have already noticed how people respond to you differently. Some are drawn to you without understanding why. Others feel uneasy in your presence, as if something about you disrupts their sense of normalcy. That's because your energy has shifted. You are no longer vibrating at the same frequency as before, and not everyone can align with that change. This is not something you did wrong. It is something you were meant to embody. But here is the part you are not ready for. The deeper your awareness grows, the more will be revealed, and not all of it will be comfortable. You will start to see patterns in people, in systems, in the way events unfold around you. Things that once seemed random will begin to feel intentional. And with that realization comes a question that cannot be ignored. What are you meant to do with what you now see? Because being chosen is not about observation alone. It is about action, and action requires courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet, consistent kind that forces you to stand in your truth even when it isolates you. You will be tested, not once, but repeatedly. Situations will arise that push you to either step into your higher self or retreat back into old patterns. And each time, the choice will define the path ahead of you. You might feel unprepared, and that feeling is valid. No one is ever fully ready for this level of awakening. But readiness is not a requirement for movement. Growth does not wait for comfort. It demands participation, and every step you take, even the uncertain ones, begins to shape the person you are becoming. There is also something else you must understand. Your changed perception is not just for you. It was never meant to be. The insights you are gaining, the awareness unfolding within you, carries a purpose that extends beyond your own experience. But stepping into that purpose requires you to let go of the need for approval, the need to be understood, the need to be accepted by those who cannot see what you see. And that is where many hesitate. Because it is one thing to awaken, and another to stand firmly in that awakening when it challenges everything around you. You will be misunderstood. You will be questioned. Some will even try to pull you back into the version of yourself they are comfortable with. But you cannot go back. Not anymore. Your eyes have changed, and with that change comes a responsibility to trust what you see, even when it contradicts what you've been taught, especially then. Because truth rarely aligns with conditioning, it disrupts it, it breaks it. It forces you to rebuild your understanding from the ground up. And as this process continues, you will begin to notice something even more profound. It's not just the world that looks different. You look different to yourself. The way you respond to challenges, the way you interpret situations, the way you carry your energy, it all begins to evolve. You are not who you were, and you are not yet who you are becoming. You are in between, in that fragile, powerful space where transformation is actively taking place. This in-between phase can feel unstable. You may question yourself. You may wonder if you're overthinking, overfeeling, overanalyzing. But what you are experiencing is expansion. Your mind is stretching beyond its previous limits. Your awareness is deepening. And with that comes a temporary sense of disorientation. But do not mistake disorientation for being lost. You are not lost. You are adjusting to a new level of perception. And here is where things intensify even further. As your awareness grows, so does your sensitivity to energy. You begin to pick up on things you once overlooked. The tone behind someone's words, the intention behind actions, the subtle shifts in environments. This heightened sensitivity can feel overwhelming at times, as if you are absorbing more than you can process. That's because your system is recalibrating. You are learning to navigate a reality that is far more layered than you previously understood. And until you learn how to ground yourself within this awareness, it can feel like too much. You may start to withdraw, not out of fear, but out of necessity. You need space to process, to integrate, to make sense of everything unfolding within you. And during this time, you might feel disconnected from others, even those you care about. Not because the connection is gone, but because you are evolving in ways that require solitude. Solitude is not punishment, it is preparation. Because what comes next will require clarity, and clarity cannot exist in constant noise. You are being guided, even if it doesn't always feel that way. Every moment of confusion, every period of isolation, every challenge you face is shaping you for something greater. But again, you are not fully ready to see the full picture yet, and that is intentional. If everything were revealed to you at once, it would overwhelm you completely. So the process unfolds in layers, each one building upon the last. Each realization prepares you for the next. Each shift strengthens your ability to handle what is coming. And what is coming is not just a deeper understanding of the world around you, but a deeper understanding of your role within it. Because being chosen was never about being special in the way the world defines it. It was about being capable. Capable of seeing, capable of understanding, capable of carrying a level of awareness that not everyone is ready to hold. And that capability will be tested in ways you cannot yet predict. And those tests will not always look like challenges at first. Sometimes they will come disguised as opportunities, as invitations, as moments that seem ordinary until you realize they are quietly asking you to choose old self or new self, comfort or growth, silence or truth. The difficulty is not in recognizing the moment, but in having the strength to respond differently than you once would have, because your instincts are changing. Where you once reacted, now you pause. Where you once followed, now you question. Where you once doubted yourself, now there is a quiet voice rising within you that refuses to be ignored. That voice, it did not appear out of nowhere. It has always been there, buried beneath layers of conditioning, fear, and expectation. Now it is surfacing, and it is asking you to trust it. But trust is not easy when everything around you still operates on the old patterns. You may find yourself standing in rooms where nothing feels aligned anymore, listening to conversations that no longer resonate, participating in routines that feel disconnected from who you are becoming. And in those moments, you will feel the tension between staying and leaving, between maintaining what is familiar and stepping into what is unknown. That tension is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal you. Because every time you feel that inner resistance, it is pointing to something that no longer fits. And every time you ignore it, you delay your own evolution. This is why the path of the chosen one is not about perfection. It is about awareness in action. It is about recognizing the misalignment and having the courage to shift, even when the outcome is uncertain. You will also begin to notice how time feels different. Moments will stretch longer when you are present, and yet entire phases of your life will seem to pass in an instant. This is not your imagination. Your perception of time is adjusting alongside your awareness. You are becoming more attuned to the present, more conscious of how energy flows, more aware of how quickly things can change when you are aligned with your path. And yet, despite all of this, there will still be doubt. Not the kind of doubt that comes from ignorance, but the kind that comes from standing at the edge of something bigger than yourself. You will question whether you are truly ready, whether you are capable, whether you are interpreting things correctly. And that doubt will feel real, almost convincing at times. But here is what you must understand. Doubt is not always a sign that you are off track. Sometimes it is a sign that you are stepping into something that requires a version of you that you are still growing into. And growth, by its very nature, feels unfamiliar. You are shedding layers of identity that once defined you. The roles you played, the expectations you carried, the beliefs you held about yourself, they are all being re-examined. Some will fall away easily. Others will cling tightly, resisting the change. And in that process, you may feel like you are losing parts of yourself. But you are not losing. You are refining. You are separating what is real from what was imposed, what is true from what was taught, what is aligned from what was convenient. And that process requires honesty, brutal, unfiltered honesty with yourself. Not the kind that judges or criticizes, but the kind that sees clearly and refuses to look away. Because the more honest you become, the more precise your path becomes. You will start to notice that certain doors begin to close, sometimes abruptly, sometimes without explanation. Relationships may shift or fade. Opportunities you once pursued may no longer be available. And at first, this may feel like loss. But look closer. What is leaving your life is making space for what is meant to enter. And if you try to hold on to what is no longer aligned, you block what is trying to reach you. This is one of the hardest lessons to accept, because it requires you to trust in what you cannot yet see. And trust is something that is being built within you right now. Not blind trust, but earned trust. The kind that comes from witnessing your own growth, from seeing how far you have already come, from recognizing that even in your most uncertain moments, you have continued to move forward. That is not accidental. There is a force within you that is guiding this process, whether you fully understand it or not. Some would call it intuition. Others would call it purpose. Some might even call it something greater, something beyond definition. But whatever name you give it, it is real, and it is active. The challenge is learning to listen, because the world is loud. It constantly tells you what to do, how to think, who to be. It rewards conformity and questions individuality. And as you continue to change, that external noise will feel more intrusive, more distracting, more misaligned with your internal truth. This is why discernment becomes essential. Not everything that sounds right is right for you. Not everything that feels good is aligned with your growth. And not everyone who speaks with confidence speaks with truth. You must learn to filter, to observe, to feel beyond the surface. And this ability it sharpens over time. At first you may second-guess yourself. You may hesitate, wondering if you are reading situations correctly. But as you continue to trust your perception, as you act on what you sense even when it is uncomfortable, your clarity will strengthen. You will begin to move with a different kind of certainty, not loud, not forceful, but steady. And people will notice, not always consciously, but they will feel it. They will sense the shift in how you carry yourself, in how you speak, in how you respond. Some will be inspired by it. Others will feel challenged by it. Because your presence will begin to reflect truths that others may not be ready to face. And this is where your responsibility deepens. Because it is not your role to force awareness onto others. It is not your job to wake everyone up or to prove what you see. Your role is to embody your truth so fully that it becomes undeniable, not through words but through presence. That requires discipline, not the rigid external kind, but the internal discipline to remain aligned even when it is difficult, to choose growth even when comfort calls, to stay grounded even when everything around you feels uncertain. You will have moments where you feel pulled in multiple directions. Old habits will try to resurface. Familiar patterns will attempt to reclaim you. And in those moments, it will feel easier to fall back into what you know. But you will also feel the difference. Because once your awareness has expanded, even your old patterns no longer feel the same. They feel heavier, more restrictive, more out of place. And that discomfort, it is your signal, a signal that you are no longer meant to operate at that level. And so the choice becomes clearer, even if it is not easier. You move forward, not because it is convenient, but because it is necessary. You continue, not because you have all the answers, but because you have seen enough to know that staying the same is no longer an option. And as you continue on this path, something else begins to emerge, a sense of inner stability. Not the kind that comes from external circumstances, but the kind that is rooted within you. A quiet strength that does not need validation, a grounded presence that does not waver with every external shift. This stability is built through everything you are experiencing right now, every challenge, every moment of doubt, every period of isolation. It is all contributing to this foundation. And once that foundation is strong enough, everything changes again. Because the next phase is not just about seeing differently. It is about becoming differently. Your actions begin to align more precisely with your awareness. Your decisions become more intentional. Your energy becomes more focused. You are no longer reacting to life in the same way. You are engaging with it consciously. And that shift opens doors that were previously invisible to you. Opportunities that align with your growth begin to appear. Connections that resonate with your energy begin to form. Situations that support your path begin to unfold. But even then, the process does not become easy. It becomes deeper. Because with every level you reach, there is another level beyond it. With every layer you understand, there is another layer waiting to be revealed. And with every step forward, the responsibility of your awareness expands. You are not just navigating your own transformation anymore. You are influencing the energy around you, the way you think, the way you act, the way you hold your presence. It creates ripples. And those ripples extend further than you realize. This is why your alignment matters. Not just for you, but for everything you touch. And as this realization settles in, you begin to understand why you were not ready before. Because this is not just about personal growth. It is about impact. And impact requires a level of clarity, strength, and discipline that can only be developed through experience. You are in that experience now. Every moment, every challenge, every shift. It is all part of the preparation. And while you may still feel uncertain at times, while you may still question what lies ahead, there is one thing that is becoming undeniable. You are no longer who you used to be. And you cannot return to that version of yourself, no matter how familiar it once felt, because your eyes have changed. And once you truly see, you cannot unsee, you cannot unknow, you cannot return to a state where truth was optional and awareness was something you could switch off at will. What has been revealed to you is now part of you, woven into the way you think, the way you feel, the way you move through the world. And even if you tried to ignore it, even if you attempted to bury it beneath distractions or old habits, it would continue to rise, again and again, until you faced it fully. Because this path does not allow half measures. You cannot be partly aware and partly asleep. You cannot hold on to truth with one hand while clinging to illusion with the other. At some point, a decision must be made, not in words, but in action. In the way you show up, in the standards you set, in the boundaries you enforce, in the courage you demonstrate when it would be easier to remain silent. And this is where your transformation becomes undeniable. Not because of what you say, but because of what you no longer tolerate. You begin to outgrow environments that once felt normal. You begin to distance yourself from energies that drain you. You begin to choose alignment over approval, even when it costs you connections, even when it changes the trajectory of your life in ways you did not anticipate. And yes, there is a cost. There is always a cost to becoming who you are meant to be. It may cost you comfort. It may cost you familiarity. It may even cost you relationships that were never built to withstand the version of you that is emerging. But what you gain in return cannot be measured in the same way. You gain clarity. You gain strength. You gain a sense of inner authority that does not rely on external validation. And most importantly, you gain yourself, fully, unapologetically, without distortion. That is what this journey has been leading you toward. Not perfection, not superiority, not separation from others in a way that places you above them, but a deeper, more honest connection to your own truth. A connection that allows you to move through the world with intention, with awareness, with a presence that is grounded and real. And when you reach that point, something shifts again. The fear that once held you back begins to lose its grip. The uncertainty that once overwhelmed you becomes something you can navigate. The unknown, which once felt intimidating, begins to feel like possibility. Because you realize that you are not being thrown into chaos. You are being guided through expansion. Every challenge you faced was not there to stop you, but to shape you. Every moment of confusion was not there to mislead you, but to deepen your understanding. Every period of isolation was not there to break you, but to strengthen your connection to yourself. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. And now, standing where you are, with everything you have experienced, everything you have seen, everything you have become aware of, there is only one direction left to move. Forward. Not with hesitation, not with fear disguised as caution, but with a quiet, steady confidence that comes from knowing you have already crossed the point of no return. You are no longer searching for permission. You are no longer waiting for the perfect moment. You are no longer asking whether you are ready, Because readiness was never the requirement. Willingness was. And you have already proven that. So now, the path continues to unfold, not all at once, not in a way that gives you complete certainty, but in a way that gives you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, step by step, moment by moment, layer by layer. And as you walk this path, as you continue to evolve, to grow, to step deeper into your awareness, you will begin to understand something that once seemed impossible to grasp. You were never chosen to be comfortable. You were chosen to become.